Greetings, members one and all of the Salivation Nation. Is copper money? We're going to explore that very question right now. Yes, it is a question most of us, when we think of money, and especially in this community when we're talking about precious metals, we understand the metals gold and silver to be money. Now, most of us understand that when we go to make a transaction in public, we're not going to hand over a 1 ounce gold coin. In this case, this particular coin is denominated as $50. But because we would essentially be making the transaction for the face value of the coin, understanding full well that the actual value of the coin is much higher. In fact, spot price of gold is let's just say right around $1,300, $1,300. And so if you're going to make a transaction based off the metallic content of this particular piece, you would be purchasing something very large. And if somebody were to agree to take a transaction, let's say for a nice widescreen LCD television, then this might come into play for such a transaction. The same goes for silver. You know, some places may look at this and may take it as for face value of $1, but we know that the metallic content inside of this coin is much more than $1. In fact, right now it stands around $15 an ounce. And you can probably buy maybe a movie ticket or so with this particular coin, or maybe lunch at a medium-sized restaurant or something, Applebee's or a sort. Or you can purchase a myriad of other things and maybe get change back from a transaction with this particular coin right here. But really, it's impractical to explain and to make these transactions to the actual lay person out there. But these particular coins are legal tender, but the value of the precious metals, making transactions makes it difficult. And these days, it's probably not as practical for what is defined nowadays. So we refer to it sort of as dormant money. It's money as a store of wealth. It plays a larger role as money as a store of wealth, but not for day-to-day transactions or for currency. Especially with the electronic age, it makes it very difficult to spend these. So that leads to the question, is copper money? And I would say a resounding yes, even more so, because copper is money that's used to this very day for the definition of what money is. And that's what we're going to look at too. How do you define money? And maybe in some aspects, gold and silver may fall short in some of this definition. However, when you think about the liquidity of both of these metals, even though it may not be a direct transaction, these metals can come back into play as money very quickly, especially upon agreed upon parties. But how do we define money? Well, money is a store of wealth. Gold and silver are very much a store of wealth. Most of us in this community don't need to be convinced of that. Another thing is a medium of exchange. Well, I've just explained how it may not be quite as practical to use gold and silver as a medium of exchange these days. However, it wasn't that long ago when they were, and especially 1964 being the last year that a substantial amount of silver was used as money. But even as such, with the $50 having a percentage of 40% silver up until 1969, there you go. It was used as money. But gold was probably used even less as money for day-to-day transactions, but for larger transactions or for the really small gold coins, it was used in those transactions as a medium of exchange. Divisibility. Oh, yeah. These metals are divisible. We've seen very, very small gold coins. We've seen much larger silver coins and bars, rounds, and even much smaller, down to the gram size and even down to the grain size we've seen for both of these metals. Much more the smaller to size for gold than silver, but very easily divisible for sure. And so Fungibility, which basically is taking and these metals and dividing them out. And so you can take this and it can be passed along from one particular person to another, no matter in all cultures, in all ways. Money is defined as money. It really does transcend even governments to a point, because these metals have been used as money for a long time. And the copper fulfills all of these definitions. And so copper in and of itself, if you take a look here, it has the availability to come in larger sizes here and to be divided out. These actually were part of a divisible bar that was broken up. There's actually a video of me doing that. These are called copper crackers, indeed, yes. And so they can be broken out. They come in, copper comes in many different forms, and such as this type of nugget here, and this can be weighed out. Copper is priced by the pound, and so therefore it has many different ways. It can come in the form of rounds, as you see there, and bars of various different sizes. And so definitely the divisibility factor is quite in effect. But I think the largest argument for copper being used as money with a resounding yes, it is money, is to this very day it is used in most every country around the world to some extent. Copper is used as money. This is modern pocket change, and each one of these contains quite an extensive amount of copper in it. And so we do use copper as money to this very day. And in fact, most of us would probably say, if you look at some of this here, if you have a keen eye, you can see that that some of it may be worth more, even though the value of the metal is more than the face value. It is still very much used in transactions as currency. And so this currency as money, copper, is probably the last metal of the metals. Now is considered a base metal for sure. There's no question about that. But it is definitely something that has been used as a medium of exchange for about as long, if in many cases, if not longer, and more frequently than silver or gold. Because when you debase, especially when you debase some of the silver coins of the Roman Empire, a lot of times they would make that balance bronze or copper. And so there you have it. It is quite interesting. In fact, we're gonna examine here how much copper is in each of these particular coins. And we're going to start out here with what is most commonly known as the Lincoln cent here in the United States of America. And this particular one here is 95% copper. These are still in circulation. Many of these I get back and change. In fact, I used to keep these, but they're so abundant, I've actually have sold, or I just spent and cashed out some of the other copper cents I had, because it takes a lot to store off for the value. But some people do save these, the pre-82 cents. But even the modern cents from 1982 and beyond, even they have 2.5% copper in them, which is, it's not just, it was a pretty thick coating of copper over the zinc. So there you have it. It is quite something else. In fact, here is an example of an elongated cent that has been squashed out. That was that post 1982, and you can even see some of the zinc underneath there, underneath the copper layer. But it is a thick enough copper layer that even if elongated out here, it does retain some of that plating there. So there you go. The cent is one of the most obvious examples of copper still being used, fungible as currency and money. And so copper is a resounding yes in being used as money. Next we have the dime here, which is actually smaller than the cent, and it has 91.67% copper in it, and you can see it there in the sandwich layer. But even in the copper nickel portions of it, there's still a lot of copper in that too. So that the vast majority of this particular coin is copper. So it is being used and the intrinsic value of this particular coin is in its weight, in its copper content there. Very good. Next up, we have and I don't have one handy, I thought I brought one, is a nickel. The 5-cent piece has 75% copper in it. I don't have one, I thought I brought one here with me, but I don't have it. I do have, though, the quarter, and the quarter is the largest of the in circulation coins that we have here in the United States of America. And these are obviously clad. You can see the clad layer there between them there. And these particular coins, again, have 91.67% copper in them. And so there's a lot of copper there by the weight alone. Has that intrinsic value. And the denomination of, we use these in circulation every day. Those as a cash, for cash transactions, we do use that copper. And to some extent, we have here the dollar coin. Some of these are in circulation. This is a circulation quality presidential dollar, and it has a manganese type of content to it. But with all the metals together, it is 88.5% copper. And so there it is. These are real examples of how copper is being used as money to this very day. Practical examples there. So the answer to the question, is copper money? Yes, indeed. Indeed it is. And it's fascinating, indeed, and even more so, you can make that argument even more so than silver and gold. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Post your comments and thoughts below. Would like to extend a multitude of gratitude, y'all, for watching, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.